welcome back to Comic Frontline, and you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do episode 6 of Pay It or Slay It. Now, this is a video series where me, Mike Spider Slayer, takes a random of 10 comics that I read for the week and review them and make the suggestion if you should pay it or slay it. And you never know if a comic could be so bad I actually tear that comic book up right in front of your face. Doesn't happen too often, but you never know when it could happen. So with that being said, guys, let's get started with this week's comics. Now, again, I shuffle them up. I just randomize it. Don't know what I'm going to talk about first. So here we go. So first book we're going to talk about this week is Cyborg from DC Comics, issue number 3. Now, last issue of Cyborg, I wasn't a huge fan of it, as you got to see Victor Stone do battle against this creature called Gilgore, and at the end, he wound up saving his dad's life, or at least you thought so. Anyway, this book has been pretty solid overall because it has to do with Cyborg and the more humanized side of him, not just him being part of the Justice League, and that's what I've liked about this series so far. So what happens in this particular issue? Where in this issue, we wound up seeing Cyborg. He actually is having these crazy-like dreams where the Justice League is actually, like, killing him or whatnot. And this goes back to the, I guess, the New 52 days when they were doing battle against Darkseid, and he was supposed to boom tube him away, and he failed. And then what happens is it's just a horrific dream. And they're trying to figure out why is he having these dreams. So what happens is we wind up seeing that the book kind of recaps readers of what happened in the last issue. And once again, we wind up seeing them go out on the town. But before they go out on the town, we wind up seeing Cyborg has this new way to confine himself by not looking like a cyborg. He can make himself look human again, but it takes total concentration and total focus. So once again, they go out to the bar, and we wind up seeing Victor run into an old girlfriend, but he doesn't remember actually who she is. So Victor winds up going back to Star Labs looking for particular answers. And when they try to do studies and try to do studies on him, what happens is he starts having these crazy dreams again, and he has these dreams that Superman is battling him, and all the other, I think it was the Justice League members once again, were fighting him towards the end here. And I thought that was absolutely insane, that it's kind of like a Nightmare on Elm Street effect where you could die in your dream. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And then we get to find out, seeing that we have this other crazy version of Victor's father, as he's part cyborg in here as well. So Cyborg continues to deliver. If you guys haven't given it a chance, I definitely say go out there, pay for the book, guys, because this is a lot better than the last volume, the New 52 volume. And this character, gives him a little more dimension, to him than just being that Justice League person in there. So good book. Definitely go out and get it. All right, next we're going to talk about, let's see what it is today, A-Force, issue number 10. This is the conclusion to the series. This is what I felt was a good series overall, I think, that came out of Secret Wars. And I feel that this was a book that could have had longevity in it if it wasn't for the whole Civil War situation in here. They did change artists in it, but nevertheless, it was still overall a good book. And in this issue, you wind up getting to see the team of A-Force members trying to stop these crazy-like creatures from overthrowing the town. It was kind of like a zombie apocalypse, but they changed into like praying mantis-like creatures. And the Civil War II tie-in here was that Ulysses saw this vision of Nico killing this girl by the name of Alice, but she's actually the praying mantis queen. And if you kill the queen, you wind up seeing everyone else wind up getting healed. That's pretty much the outcome of it. And Nico doesn't want to kill her. She does everything in her power actually not to kill her. And it was cool. She reverted her back to a human, but in the end, she had to physically kill her. Now, any book that has Nico in it, I think is awesome. I love her powers. She just says one word, and the spell actually happens. And the ramifications out of this is just really, you know, Carol and Nico and certainly other members just, don't see eye to eye with everything that is going on with the whole Civil War II thing. And but nevertheless, they all had something in common at the end, and they want to see Jen Walters, recovering from her coma in there. So that was a nice little ending to this story. Overall, I would say go out and buy this book, but it's the end of the series, so don't go out and buy it. But I will say, go out and pay for a trade. That's right, guys. Go out there, try to find a trade on A-Force. I think overall it was a great series. Probably one of the few bright lights that have come out of, like I said, Secret Wars. So A-Force issue 10, the conclusion. All right, let's see what's next that we're going to talk about today, and that is Black Hammer, issue number 4. I'm going to preach this book until it's done. This book is really well done. It's awesome. It has so much character development. Jeff Lemire is singling out every character in one issue to get to know their history, their past, what they're about, what their personalities are about. And overall, it's a great book to read. I think this is one of Jeff Lemire's best series. I don't know. I couldn't tell you how long. But this time we get to see the actual origin story of Abraham Slam. And when you're reading it, you're kind of thinking, uh-oh, it's another Captain America story. You got this scrawny kid who wants to be in the military and he wants to save the day. And they're going to do this experimental serum on him, right? Well, that's not the case. In this issue, you wind up seeing him get recruited by a boxing trainer. And you get to see him beef up and become strong. And then you wind up seeing his good friend wind up getting killed by these thugs. And we see Abraham Slam wants to get revenge for his friend's death. And that's how he becomes a superhero. In the meantime, in the modern part of the story, where they're hiding out in this farm, we wind up seeing that Abraham is the most, I guess, normal out of all these superheroes, and he has relations with this female. And we can see that everyone in the story here is kind of not on board. They're kind of going against it, but they're doing it just because they have to. And at first, when the girl comes over for dinner, I think her name was Sarah or whatnot, things kind of go wrong. We get the girl that's really, really old. Her name is Gail. She like pretends to be this troublemaker girl, daughter or granddaughter of Abraham's. And it's just a really good story. But all in all, you get to see that continued flashback of the character from the 40s and 50s. And we get to see, again, that backstory. And we get to see this family in modern day times. And it's a good book. It's a really well done story. I enjoy it immensely. I definitely go out there and recommend this book to people. And at the end of this issue, we wind up going out and seeing that they're dropping seeds for what the major story, the major plot line of this book is going to be once they're done introducing all the characters. So really great book. I say go out and buy this book, guys. This is one that you should not pass up. Black Hammer is a great independent book. If you like character development, you're going to like this style. So Black Hammer issue 4. All right. Next, guys, we're going to be talking about, let's see, Aquaman, issue number 9. Now, I never read Aquaman before until now, until the Rebirth issues. I read a couple in New 52, never read anything pre-New 52, and I'll always give Aquaman a chance. And I feel like this Aquaman series for me is the best one yet that I have actually tried. And in this book, it's written by Dan Abnett. The artwork continues to be really well done in this book. But we get to see the Shaggy Man. He's intruding Atlantis, and then he's going to go into the surface. And the thing about Shaggy Man, if you're not familiar with him, is that no matter what attacks that you throw at him, he just absorbs it and learns the attack and becomes stronger. And we wind up getting to see him trying to destroy the surface, and Aquaman tries to save the day by, heading to the surface and trying to, and try to battle him, hand-to-hand combat, if anything. Then we get to see Mira in here trying to be, was it worthy of being the queen of Atlantis. And we kind of see these women trying to put Mira in her place, but she's very strong-willed, and she sticks up for Aquaman. And it was really interesting character moments to see in the book as well. And the thing that made this issue stand out for me is, based off of the earlier issues, we saw Superman and Aquaman have this quarrel with each other, and deep down inside, we feel that Aquaman is kind of the forgotten one of the Justice League, the sidekick of the Justice League, the fish guy. Like, no one knows who he really is. And everyone is telling him to call the Justice League out here, including his general, I think it's Merc, and his commander. And he sits there and he's like, call your friends. He's like, don't be so stubborn. And he winds up sitting there and he goes, what is this about pride? He's like, you want to be the one to save the Earth, to prove that you can save the Earth? And Aquaman just shoves him to the side and he's like, you're out of line, Commander. And he goes, and so what happens is Aquaman has this idea, and he takes his Justice League card and he sits there and he shoves it in Shaggy Man's fur, as we can see right here. And then what he does is he transports him into the middle of space. And basically that's really how the issue ends, but Aquaman winds up collapsing at the same time, and no one is helping him. I thought it was really well done. What does this mean for Aquaman going forward? Does it mean that he's going to abandon the Justice League? Because he looks at his card and he figures, okay, well, this is the only way to save the world here. But at the same time, is this my way to saying goodbye, Justice League? Also, I don't know. We'll see. But really interesting issue. I love how he sends him out to space. But it truly was the only way to defeat him, because he absorbs all those attacks and gets stronger. So if you guys have not given Aquaman a chance, I definitely say go out there and pay for the book, guys. This is a really well done series up to this point. I think maybe issue number 8 was the least favorite, and issues 1 through 4 or 5 were fantastic. So Aquaman, really well done at this point. Alright, next, let's see, guys, what we're talking about, and it is Spider-Woman, issue number 12. Spider-Woman is another book that doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's not so comical either, where it's like, oh man, this book is a joke, it's not even funny, or they're trying too hard. This book has the right amount of humor, right amount of action, and it makes you really care about its characters. And Jessica here is having a day off, and she winds up going to Staten Island, and I think that was really well done. And she goes with Porcupine, and she takes the baby, and they both take their kids, and we wind up seeing that there's mayhem going on through the city, and Sandman has been causing problems. Miles kind of saves the day, and it was cool to see some good moments there with Jessica, and she's like, oh, I had a boy there, Miles. That's really nice. So we get to see her again experience everything that Staten Island has to offer, and it was really awesome. And they wind up going to the beach and whatnot, and then look who shows up after we sit here, and Porcupine winds up getting all sunscreened up, which is hilarious. We wind up seeing, yes, Sandman. He's all upset because he can't get his alcoholic drinks with umbrellas, and he starts wreaking havoc on the beach. And so what happens is we wind up seeing Roger, again, who's Porcupine, suit up on the costume, and to really show that he's changed sides. He's no longer that bad guy. He's this good guy. And we get to see this battle commence between the two characters. And what was really nice about this issue is Jessica did not want to do anything. She's like, Roger, she's like, you need to solve this. This is my day off with my family, and I'm going out, and I'm going to, just watch. And so she's like, I'm going to rely on you. And And she sits there and she's watching from the distance, and she's like, come on, Roger, remember those, remember you can't go hand-to-hand combat with him, and remember your flashcards. And it flashes back to a point where he's actually studying with Jessica on supervillain flashcards on how to defeat him. So when Roger actually remembers, he actually turns Sandman into stone, or into glass, and the day is saved. And I thought it was a really enjoyable issue. I thought it was a lot of fun. It shows you that Roger has made the turn for the better, and he's a great supporting cast member for Jessica. You know, he watches her kid because he has a daughter of her own and of his own, and it's really a nice book. I enjoy it a lot, and I've enjoyed this series since All New, All Different Marvel have come out, since she was pregnant, since she's had the baby. It really gave Dennis Hopeless, I give him a lot of credit to changing the character. This could have been an absolute bomb. This could have been just a failure in all types of shapes and form, but he made her a more likable character where she was another otherwise tough character before. So really great book. I say if you haven't tried Spider-Woman, I would say start it from All New, All Different Marvel. I think you might enjoy it from there. So definitely, guys, go out there and pay for that book. All right, so what are we going to talk about next? Next is Death of X, issue number 2 of 4. So this is the series where we sit there and go, okay, how did Scott Summers die? How did the Terrigen Mist affect the mutants? How did these people go to war with each other? And so with this particular issue, I found it a little bit interesting to see them go to Muir Island to discover the Terrigen Mist, on how it does have that effect on the mutants for the first time. So that's why I picked up issue 2. And so this time around, it's pretty much nothing. We wind up seeing Cyclops broadcast to the world going, you have to be afraid of everybody, of the Inhumans. They do nothing but scare you, and they pose a threat to the mutants, and you don't know if they're going to pose a threat to the Inhumans, or I'm sorry, to the humans. And all of a sudden, all it does is create this panic, and it shows you that that Scott is just such a dickhead. I mean, you totally forgot how much of an asshole he really is. And so what happens is we wind up seeing a couple of the mutants and a couple of the Inhumans. They work together. There's no war. They stop this Terrigen cloud that's coming through that's going to affect other people. And so by the time we wind up getting to the end of this book, we find out that I think it's Emma Frost and Scott were sitting in an office forever trying to decide what was going on, what was going to happen in this war that they're going to broadcast. And then so it took them all this time to sit there and go out there and, what's it called, recruit Magneto. This book was nothing. This book is garbage. And I'm not going to tear it up because I can sit there and say it has me intrigued on what's going to lead to this war between the Inhumans and the X-Men. So if you want to buy this one, go out and pay for it, but it's just there. We already know everything that happens. We know how this Terrigen actually affects the mutants. We know that they're going to go to war, but I guess if you want to see that story, yeah, go buy it. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I've read worse. I have. All right, let's go. Let's go on to the next book. The next book is Infamous Iron Man, The Rise of Doom. So this is the book where we get Victor Von Doom taking the mantle of Iron Man. But I thought it was supposed to be Riri Williams as Iron Heart. So who is the one? Or is it like this is the War Machine book and the Riri Williams book is the Iron Man book? I guess. I don't know. But in this issue, we wind up learning that based off of Civil War, Tony Stark is truly gone. It looks like that he's dead. Okay, and he's actually put an artificial intelligence into, I guess, into his company or into his armor or whatnot, because he winds up talking to Doctor Doom in this book, and well, Victor Von Doom in this book, and he tells him, please don't take over as Iron Man, please don't do it. And so even though Tony is not in this book, he kind of still is. It's just an AR. You just put a artificial, you put like this aura around him, and it's just, you call it AI. So that's basically what it is. But will Tony come back? I don't know. We'll see. But also in this book that I wasn't really fond of was that the artwork. It just was like too sketchy. It didn't feel complete to me. And it just, when you have an Iron Man book, and I've said this many times, I feel like you need more detail. Doctor Doom's armor, when he had all his armor and everything else on it, right? It was really well done. It's all detailed. You can see the details in his mouth and his eyes, the glistening and everything else. And in this book, you get everything but that. You get dark shadows, dark inks, dark colors. I just don't enjoy it. And then when you finally see Iron Man in this armor, or Doctor Doom in this armor for the first time, it just looks very simplistic. And I've said it all the time in Iron Man books. Iron Man is filled with just moving parts and things like that. You just need it to be a detailed book, and I just don't think artistically this book hits the mark. And I feel that the story's concept, I think, might be there. We just don't know yet. They didn't give enough details. So hopefully this book gives you a better direction in issue 2. Everything was just all over the place. You see a flashback of Doctor Doom back in the day with him in the Cabal, and how much of an asshole Hood was, and he, sent them to another country, and then you wind up seeing this thing with Diablo where he captured, Maria Hill, and then so the book just jumped around from place to place, and there was just no real point, and you don't know the motive between Doctor Doom on why he wants to be Iron Man to begin with, and why he was following Tony Stark around this whole time. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we will find out. I thought this was a good concept. I'm going to still say go out there and pay for the book, but it definitely wasn't my favorite this week. You got to give this one a couple issues, a story arc. Let Civil War die down to find out where this book is truly going to go. So, all right, Infamous Iron Man. All right, so I think we got about 3 more books to discuss. And the next one is Green Lanterns, issue number 9. So we've had this thing going on with this Phantom Ring. And here we get to see this character, and we get to see a fist, obviously. And it looks like he's wearing this Phantom Ring. But we don't know who this guy is. And we get to see Baz, and we get to see Jessica on there as well. So you're like, oh, is this going to be revealed on who this Phantom Lantern actually is? So I guess in this issue we do, but we don't see him actually get this ring quite yet. No Jessica, no Baz in this issue, but we learn about this guy called Frank Leminski. And we get to see that he was almost the big deal. He's like the guy that always finishes in second place all the time, the second best guy, the second best pilot. And he was a pilot, and he wound up doing, he didn't succeed. And we wound up seeing that one day Hal Jordan saved his life. And ever since then, he was infatuated by the Green Lantern ring. And he did all he could to study about it and learn from it. And, he saw them on TV all the time. And he's like, I'm going to be the next Green Lantern. I'm going to have the ring choose me, because you have to have a lot of willpower. So he covers his boards with Hal Jordan and all these, all this ring stuff. You starting to see him train, and he does whatever he can. He starts shooting. He gets stronger and stronger. And then you learn one day that the actual ring came to him. And, he was trying to, do good for the community. And the ring actually came for me, or for him, excuse me. And he was so happy. He was like, oh, my God, finally, after all these years, it's finally come for me. And it's like, Just kidding. Error. Malfunction detected. Recalibrating. Rescanning. We actually found someone better. And the ring takes off from him. And he can't believe it. And by the time we're done with the whole situation, he's just pretty much, down on his luck. He doesn't know what to do anymore. And then he comes across a mysterious person, and he's offering him, power. So really good book. I thought this was awesome. If you guys are not reading Green Lantern yet, I say go out there and definitely pay for this book, because this is all tying in to that Phantom Ring. And again, the mysterious character at the end of this book is saying there's this Phantom Ring and you don't have to have this, this set power to wear it. And, it's kind of like he's choosing him and he's going to find this ring. So really great stuff. And overall, I've really enjoyed this series, but I think this story arc is going to be better, or is better at this point than that first story arc with the Red Lanterns in here, because it's something different, something we haven't seen. We haven't seen a power ring, that can go to anybody. So really great stuff here. So Green Lanterns issue 9. Definitely go out there and pay for it, guys. All right, what's next that we're talking about? It is The Amazing Spider-Man, the Clone Conspiracy tie-in. Have you guys read this? Do you guys care about it? This, based off of the cover, is all about Dr. Octopus and his rise to get his body once again. And in this issue, it does a great job at giving you a little bit of a backstory on what has happened in the Superior Spider-Man. And we wind up finding out that certain bodies are missing from gravestones, and we have this third party going to New Technologies to sell to them so they can use it for their cloning process or whatnot. And one of those bodies wasn't just Otto Octavius, but yes, it was Alistar Smythe, the Spider Slayer. So I wonder if he's going to make his return as well. It'd be awesome, right? Most underrated Spider-Man villain ever, and it's one of the reasons why I call myself the Spider Slayer. So anyway, we wind up seeing this transaction go through. We wind up seeing Otto Octavius make his way back to New Technologies. He sneaks into one of the tanks that Otto Octavius is being resurrected from, or reanimated from, and he winds up doing a battle against Peter Parker, because when you first wake up, it takes place of the memories you just last left off when you were about to die. And so Doc Ock realizes that he has to battle Peter Parker's subconscious once again to get control of his body. And you get to see that happen. You get to see them battle each other once again. And Doc Ock, of course, is the winner of this battle. And we wind up seeing him rise. And we wind up seeing him get his arms back as well. And him and the Jackal looks like they're going to be working with each other once again. And kind of picked off, it continued where the last issue left off with the Clone Conspiracy, where he's doing his battle against him. So, and Doc Ock no longer is suffering from any brain degeneration. He's at his prime, so it looks like he's set to go for a while. So, really good book, guys. If you haven't read The Amazing Spider-Man, and you were kind of weary about the tie-in, if it was really going to tie in or not, this definitely tied in. It continued where the last issue of Clone Conspiracy left off. So I say definitely go out and buy this book, guys. Really great stuff. Pay for it. And, I get it that it's clones and we've seen it all before, but take the story for what it is. It might change. Something might be different about it that could change the Spider-Man universe forever, and hopefully for the good. So we'll see what happens here. I did get a question recently, seeing that if this is Dan Slott's final story when it comes to The Amazing Spider-Man, which writer would you like to see write this series? So if you guys want to actually put that in the comments below, I'd really appreciate it. One of my writers that I really enjoy is Tom Taylor. He currently writes New Wolverine. He did a great job on Superior Iron Man, as well as Injustice and I think Earth 2. He's a great writer. He puts a lot of depth into his characters, and I think you'd be a great writer for this story. So that's who I want. So I want you guys to put that in the comments below. All right. And we have one more book to talk about this week, guys, and that is Batman issue number 9. That's right, guys. Finally, the Batman has returned from this whole Monster Men debacle. I know a lot of people are kind of being generous on that story, but overall, I heard the consensus say that towards the end of that story, it wasn't a very enjoyable read. So now we get this new story that kind of continues where we last left off with the whole Psycho Man situation infecting Claire, which is Gotham Girl. And we wind up seeing at the end of that issue that Batman has to team up with Amanda Waller to go get Psycho Pirate and meet up with Bane as well at Santa Prisca. So the artwork in this book was absolutely phenomenal, and you get to see this little bit of an origin story. Once again, recap it when it comes to Bane on you know, his situation at Santa Prisca and what he went through and whatnot. And you know, we're promised this new outfit or costume when it comes to Bane. Well, it's not shown here. He's just naked. He's naked, sitting on a bunch of, you know, skulls in this issue, and he's telling Psycho Pirate that he kicked the Venom habit, and he needs Psycho Pirate to sit there and say, you know, keep me brave, keep me happy, and he's like, oh, okay, Bane, I'll do that. We learn that Gotham Girl Claire's condition is getting worse, and Bruce has to go to Santa Prisca to obviously find Psycho Pirate, try to cure her and whatnot. So this issue was really well done, again, artistically, and I showed this in my main review when it comes to Arkham Asylum, and just the way it looks. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Batman looks beautiful. I love the purple inside of the cape. I think that looks awesome, and we get to see him recruit a ragtag of just villains in here, and it was really well done to see all that in this particular issue. And so by the time we wind up getting to the end of it, the last person that he winds up recruiting is behind this like crazy mask, and you're like, oh man, is it Joker? Like, is he really going to team up with the Joker here? And at that point I sat there and go, that might be a little bit predictable. And so when he pulls off that mask and you wind up seeing that it's Selina Kyle, I was like, oh, that's awesome. When was the last time she was in a Batman book, like, with Batman, you know? And when you read the accounts on her, she has 237 counts of murder, and she's scheduled to be death by lethal injection. So you're kind of like, holy shit, Selina, what the hell have you done, you know? But she looks beautiful. The eyes really bring out the character in here, and I can't wait to see really what happens in this book, how he's going to team up with these characters, especially Selina, what Bane is going to look like. It's just great times ahead for Batman fans. You got to be excited for this. I say definitely go out there and pay for this book, guys. This is an awesome book to read right now, and my hats off really is to DC Rebirth. They've done a really great job. I have dropped some titles. Reason being is it's just because it's not my favorite characters. Not necessarily that it's all, you know, bad books. I just can't physically read everything. I read everything as much as I could to this point, and now that we got more Marvel books coming out, some more independent books, I dropped a few things, you know, like Green Arrow, like Titans, like Nightwing, you know, certain things. Just can't read it all. But guys, hopefully you enjoyed episode 6 of Pay It or Slay It. Now it's your turn, fans, in the comments below to tell me which books you want to pay for, which books you want to slay. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Frontline. Don't forget to check out our live show tonight, Tuesday night, 9:30, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And guys, until that next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing out. Take care, and thanks for watching, guys. Bye.